Women's advancement has been a big part of the conversation. Thanks very much to Lean In. This is something we talk about all the time. And Dominic, here you lead McKinsey, which is a firm that very much dictates the way that business gets done across a great swath of the world. How do we take this topic past conversation and turn it to action?
Well, first of all, I also want to thank, just as Cheryl did, thank Cheryl in particular. We can't see where you are in the group, and the Lean In team, as well as the Wall Street Journal, who's actually been in this from the very, very beginning, pushing for where it is. It's been a great collaboration. I forgot the question you were asking me. Yeah.
How do we go beyond talk to action in big companies?
Well, I think as Cheryl said, and as everyone knows, what gets measured gets done. And I think there are many findings in here that I'm excited about. One of the most important ones, I think, is being out there and being very transparent about what you want it to be. And we found in the research that those organizations, those CEOs that have actually made a commitment, those organizations have actually moved the most in a 3-year period. So it's about, I think, not just doing it, but actually setting high aspirations and ambitious aspirations and then going after it. That's what I think will make a lot of movement.
And how do we also add urgency to this? I think we were talking backstage about some of the numbers, the big global numbers behind this. I mean, this isn't just an issue about having equal numbers of men and women at the lunch table in the cafeteria. This is an issue that is critical to our success.
Well, I think one of the things that drives me the most is not sort of the moral issue or the social issue. It's an economic issue. I mean, I think Cheryl mentioned, it could be the equivalent of 5 percentage points on the GDP side. You cannot, as an organization, claim that you have the best talent if less than 50% of the people in your organization are women. It just doesn't square. It's an economic rationale. And that's why I said for McKinsey, we like to claim many things, but one of them is on that we're very focused on talent. So to have 24% of our people being women, it's a problem. You can't claim that you have the best talent. And so I think it's an economic imperative, and I think that's the way we have to look at it as well. It's about the bottom line. It's about innovation. It's about performance. Having more women in your organization.
Mm-hmm. And how the study shows a disconnect between what CEOs say is their stated priority and what employees actually believe the boss cares about. And then when you drill down to the individual manager level, people in this study overwhelmingly felt that advancing women was not a priority of their direct boss. What can companies do about this? And can you talk a little about how you personally have faced this issue at McKinsey?
Yeah, I think not to bore you with the story of us, but we a few years ago had this notion, we obviously have to have more women or we can't claim that we've got the best talent. And so my view early on was I felt we had a lot of talk but no walk. So my view is we'll appoint women, and we've appointed more women than we had in the previous 15 years into senior roles. So I felt quite good, I'd say smug, in terms of what the results were. And we did this work, Rebecca remembers, with the Wall Street Journal. And we didn't have the database that Lean In has now brought to us with 118 companies. But we were part of the group, and I asked the McKinsey team, I said, how did I do? Because the view was, what do employees feel the CEO thinks that women are? And having done all this stuff, I thought I was going to score pretty high. And I went to it was in San Francisco, and never forget this, because most of the team just looked at their feet, which worried me. They didn't say anything. And then Lorena Yee, who we have this value called obligation to dissent, said, well, Dom, you actually did pretty badly. I said, what are you talking about? And she said, well, 70% of the men think women is a priority for you, but 37% of the women think that women, I said, God damn it, what's the matter with the women? I mean, what is the problem? I'm doing all this stuff. I got really mad. And then I realized that it's about, if you don't talk about it and you don't say it's a priority, then actually people don't think it's somewhat as simple as that. And so in 2014, we did did say that that was a lot of women giving me advice, you better follow that. And now we have 70% of the women think that's the case. Now, we have to move it, but you can actually move the dial pretty quickly, I think, if you declare it. And making it a priority means that other things are not the priority, if you know what I'm saying. So I think making a statement about it being a top 3 priority is critical. And then I think having some sense of a measure of progress of where you are, which will either you'll be embarrassed or it'll actually work, is also important.
And we've talked about how targets are the surest way to get closer to parity. But it's also a very touchy issue. It's very similar to board quotas, which we have overseas, but are kind of a third rail in US business. How do you manage that kind of pushback, especially at McKinsey, and how should companies be thinking about this?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think what I would say is that one of the strongest voices I got from the women in McKinsey was, if you dare mess with the meritocracy, if you make it somehow easier, excuse my language, we will kick your ass. I mean, it was a very aggressive, very aggressive bar of saying that's not how we're going to do it, because that will not help us long term. So the women are the toughest on that side, and I don't think you can compromise. But what I think you can do is when, for example, you're making leadership appointments, and there's others in here, Brian does this all the time, when you think about a leadership appointment you're going to make, you say, well, who is the woman or women candidates that you would have? And you signal that there better be some people coming up. It doesn't mean that you're going to pick that person, but there better be candidates. So I think the two can go together.
And as Cheryl was just talking about, that a good part of this too is changing the way that we work and changing what the expectations are for work, not in performance, but how we do it. And you guys at McKinsey, I know you, I've worked with now a big swath of your team. You guys are like Olympic athletes of work. And yet,
I don't think that's a compliment.
Big endurance is impressive, yeah. But you have even made changes to the pace of work. And can you talk a little bit about how that, even you guys who, part of your value proposition is this dedication among your staff, you two are finding ways to not change the dedication, but change the practice a little bit.
Yeah, I think what we've found, I think we do work too hard and not smart, if you will, because it's a client service firm. So when the client says jump, we jump, and so there's that kind of, it's built in. So people, if you're not showing up, if you don't show FaceTime, there's an issue. And what we found actually is that it doesn't have to be that way. And so rules such as no more than 2 nights away of travel, that's the norm. You can actually do it. People being in the office on Friday is the norm. We have one team, I'm not going to say we have hundreds of teams, we have one team that's literally doing they can work at 9 to 5. Part of the problem is you have too many McKinsey partners giving direction to one poor small team in terms of what they do. So there's a lot that can be done to reformulate how teams work and what the expectations are. And it's the thing that's, I think, really exciting is this is really good for men too.
Yeah.
And the flexibility programs that we've also put in place, the thing we're trying to figure out what that means is more men are taking it than women. What I worry about is maybe that women think if they take it, it doesn't show that they're committed, but men are actually taking up the flexibility programs. We have one of the programs we put in place called Take Time, which is anytime, if you want to, you can take up to 8 weeks beyond your vacation period to do whatever you want to do. If you just want to spend time with your family or learn a musical instrument or travel, you go do it. But men are sort of taking that up at a significantly higher rate than women. So, but anyhow, we're trying to put these flexibility programs in place, but also just what is a normal week and re-norming that and saying you don't have to travel all the time. We do want people to be in the office. Technology makes things better, and we can deliver impact for our clients and not have to be there all night.
Well, thank you. You heard it here. So next, I would like to, and thank you, Dominic, for your candor and your support too.